Well, good morning and good day to all of you on this fine opportunity to speak to you on this graduation moment. I wish to thank the Chancellor and the Senate and the President on the academic corps that has helped you through these years of moving to this day of graduation. A complex day today because of course, this war we have going on, this campaign to fight COVID 19 and to reduce casualties as much as we can, and ultimately to defeat it and to be prepared for what this new life might be beyond this pandemic. I'm most honored to receive this honorary degree, an old soldier, a veteran, and a veteran of a different era, also of ambiguous and complex missions, of of conflicts in imploding nations and faraway lands, as one often says, of imploding nations, of massive abuses of human rights, and ultimately not clear results. But what is obvious is the cost of human life. The cost of human life of those who are the victims and who are engaged, but also the cost of human life and those who are in the front lines attempting to attenuate the effects, to try to reduce the impact, to try to solve, because we were not able to prevent these conflicts. And that leaves lasting injuries of the mind, of which one must recognize that post traumatic stress disorder and those effects are honorable injuries for soldiers and for diplomats and humanitarians who are in the front lines, for our first responders right now in the COVID 19. Honorable injuries of committing themselves to other human beings, and ultimately, yes, suffering and making sacrifices as their family have to in this terrible, terrible war. We are all engaged. It's a global war. There is no one immune from it ultimately, of affecting others or being affected by it. And so this particular scenario is going to have a major impact on how we're going to live subsequently, how we're going to work subsequently, where we're going to work subsequently. Will it be revolutionary in our factories? Will it be revolutionary in our way of communicating? Will we lose contact with one another? Will we have to find new ways, new philosophies of leadership to be able to sustain and bring together people in order to achieve their work, their efforts, to ultimately gain the success that we hope of the experience and be prepared potentially for the next round that might happen. I am looking at many of you as entering now the campaign in the fray. Some of you will go directly into the front lines. When I commanded a military college, I had students 3 months after graduating of 5 years of military college deployed in Afghanistan fighting, taking casualties. And so you are now the next cohort into this exercise of how we will handle that future and how we're going to attenuate the impact of today. And it must be looked at in a more activist and revolutionary fashion, not in a defensive mode, not how do we hide from it, but on the contrary, how do we take it on? And who do we turn to when we want to do that? Well, when we go to war in the old classic sense, who are in the front lines mostly? The youth of our nations, sometimes as young as 15. In this era, in civil wars and so on, we see the use of children as weapons of war in a predominant fashion, as they are by far the highest employed forces in these conflicts around the world. Against their will, destroying their youth, destroying their future, creating generational wars. And so How do you, the youth of this nation, get engaged into advancing humanity, advancing your profession, advancing the well being of your family, advancing peace and security, so that we are at a stage where we will be able to prevent conflicts before trying to pick up the pieces afterwards and live with the consequences and the hopes of reconciliation that don't come that easy. You are a particularly significant generation because you are fully engaged in the communications revolution of our time. You are already global. You are the generation without borders. It's true, you can real time face anywhere in the world pretty well. You can coalesce massively within minutes. You can influence in an inordinate fashion the flow of thinking, of impacts, of pressure. You have power that we never ever could have. The question is are you ready to use it? Are you, in fact, engaged in this revolution? Are you becoming the activists of the future? Are you going to be working at preventing some of this stuff by bringing your innovative thinking, bringing the input that you have from so many sources and mulling it together and using the magnificence of your youth to take risks, to advance thought, to push the envelope. Yeah, and push a lot of us gray haired people aside, thanking them, protecting them, but saying, hey, the rhythm and what's coming on is far more significant than what we really can handle. And I have no doubt about that. I look at the debate on the environment. There's no debate on the environment. There is changes that are happening. So why are we discussing, how well will this new scenario of the environment affect us? No, no, no. There's no debate. There is how do we take it head on? How do we face it? How do we solve it? How do we ultimately live with it? And in fact, attenuate its impact. So take it as a fact, engage, and move on with it. As you move on with the power that you have, you got power from that whole technological reform and revolution that you are mastering far better than any of us. You, the under 25, that generation without borders, global as you are already. But you can do it also by being engaged in the processes in a deliberate way, the political processes, not only the economic processes in the community, but in the political processes. There were 2.9 million votes not used in the last federal election. They were all under 30. The balance of power, ladies and gentlemen, is in your hands. You coalesce with the tools you have, you can change the face of politics in this country in one election. People will take note if you use the power of the democracy you have. And the best way to start that is by getting the vote down to the 16-year-olds. You learn it in school what democracy is, then let us help you exercise it. And then throughout, you simply continue to engage and build. You are now becoming today university graduates. You have joined the ranks. Yes, join the ranks of the leadership of this great nation. You have no right to abdicate that responsibility. On the contrary, we seek you to push others aside and to move with the dynamics and the tools that you have of this era. Because you have so much more to offer than we could at our age. And some of us are just desperately hungry to see you on the global stage, using this nation as a start point to move the advancement of peace and security globally through the prevention of conflict. I wish you well. I thank your parents. I thank the academic staff. I thank the taxpayers. But I thank you for committing yourself to learning and ultimately to use that to engage yourself into the future and become the leaders that we're needing, that we're hungry for, to take the risks and to move us beyond this current campaign into a new revolutionary era. I wish you well. Thank you very much.